Hi guys, VTech here, Blueberry Hill. So this is a little over a week of filming. This video does show a couple things. I extended the driveway a little bit, kind of added about 12, 13 feet to it. So a little more leveling, a little more rebar, etc. And then later on you'll see me building anchors for the pillars that go to the concrete where the containers go on top of and get it welded to. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll start commenting on the little pieces to this video, and appreciate you watching. So in extending the driveway, I used 2x6s, of course. That's what I used for the rest of the foundation, etc. And I was going to make a bend at the end of the driveway. This curve goes towards the shop, and the one on the right goes up the driveway. To make a curve, you basically do curve cuts in it. You leave about a 1/4 inch of the wood, and you cut the rest out with the skill saws you saw me do, and then it'll curve pretty good. Then you just have to support it and make the bend that you want to make. And I did that the same thing on both ends. Needs support so it doesn't spring back, of course, but not a big deal. Pretty straightforward there. Yeah, what you won't see is when we finish this, the next day we had some torrential rains, and it showed off really well where the water actually flows to the left and right of the driveway and the house. So we're not going to have any issues. The culvert worked really well. And on a good note, we had 3 waves of rain. The second wave, the cistern, our 31,000 gallon tank, got filled to the brim. And then the third wave, it puked it all out of a 6-inch overflow. So it made a pretty nice river out of the culvert and out to the left of the house. If you see where there's kind of a rock right where the line is, the electrical line for the the skill saw, there's a culvert there, and that's where all the water kind of shoots out of. But anyway, you can't really see it. Fun. So along with the rain, we basically had about a 5-day delay. It's more like 6. But let us finish this. After talking to our concrete guys, they actually mentioned, we actually told them we're going to use roughly around 3 trucks. It's we ordered 20 plus yards, so we can get 20 for the garage and then a little bit of the driveway probably, and then whatever extra we need for this portion of the driveway. He thought if we ordered 3 full trucks we'd have too much, so here we are extending it. Let's see me doing that. In a little bit you'll see Grandpa come up, Angie's dad, and we finish up doing some the rebar work, and we finish that the driveway off basically. After the rain, and again, we didn't film this, but after 2 days after this, Angie and I did a little bit of a beam work all around where you see the wood. We dug down another 3, 4, maybe even 5 inches here and there to make a beam all around the driveway, which should make it a hell of a lot stronger, because that makes the concrete there probably 6 to 8 inches deep. So I think that'll be a good thing. So I really appreciate Angie's dad's help. He's a trooper, and he's funny as hell to play with, or work with rather. He's a good guy, so he's always here trying to help us out again. And most of the stuff, Angie and I are doing ourselves. We contract what we need to contract, but so far not too much of that. Just basically the concrete work and of course the shop that we had put up. But aside from that, we're doing much of the work. So the labor is ours, and it's all about time after that. So this next section, you'll see me building the anchors that go into the pillars. We have roughly, no, not roughly, exactly 46 anchors I got to make. We have 46 pillars. Does not include the pillars that we'll need for the deck area and the back of the house for all the other junk we're going to do. So here I am. I bought raw materials, 8-inch wide, quarter-inch plate, two 20-footers, and then 10 sticks of number 5 rebar. And I'm going to make my own anchors. Basically put 4 rebars per plate, and that goes embedded into the concrete, and then the container gets welded to these once they're put into position. So fun stuff, a little bit of work. Of course, these things, if you buy them outright, are roughly, depending on the size you buy, they range from like $20, $22 a hit to anywhere upwards of $50. Depending on the size. If you do the math, 46 times 20 is a lot, 46 times 50 is more. So anyway, build equity as they call it. So here I am building them. On a fun note, my cold cut saw bit the bullet. Didn't bite the bullet. The blade actually, they die after X number of work. This thing's been active for a year and a half probably, so I burnt up the blade. At the same time, the saw, without me knowing it, I could smell grease, and I was wondering why. And then finally I noticed the head of the blade was mounted to the motor, which was walking out of the housing, so I had to stop and fix that. But the blade was dull anyway, so I switched over to what you'll see in a second, and that's my cutoff wheel. It's a 1/16, I believe, blade. They cut pretty quick through it. Went through, I don't know, 7 to 10 blades. Went pretty fast. And I had to make roughly 200 of these 1-footer sections, and then weld them onto the plate. You'll see that in a second. So I had once you use a plasma cutter to cut the plate, you know, it leaves a little bit of junk on the back end of the cut. So I had to grind it off. I couldn't just leave it. So I made them look not pretty, but I definitely made them smooth and everything. And then I started welding on the rebar. So you're seeing me welding the rebars onto the plate. You know, had 46 of these to do, so a little bit of work. I think all this took me probably 5 hours worth of work. Not too bad. Just rinse and repeat. It went fairly quick. I think that's one of the first ones I did, and then you know, 45 later, and I was done. Ta-da! So you're see me doing probably the last few that I had to do. Everything went pretty quick. I enjoy the sweaty part. I definitely have more time than money, so we'll see how this all pans out. But anyway, tomorrow we get the concrete for the driveway and the garage, and then days later we're going to start doing the pillars, and these things get put in their home. And once we get all of them, or most of them in place, we might have to do in phases. We're going to stack the containers on the pillars that we have made and go from there. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Hit the like button and subscribe. Latest.